Hello everybody, this weekend I finally got to play Elder Scrolls Online beta test, and so far I can say it was a good experience. There were a lot of issues with the game, but there was a lot of good things about it. So I'm just going to show you a few things about it that I wanted you to see. Right now you can see me, I'm selecting my character. There are 3 alliances, Ebonheart, and that's all I remember. Obviously there are 2 others, but I tend to forget their names. Each alliance has its 3 races. The 10th race obviously are the Imperials, which unfortunately you have to buy the Imperial version or the $100 version of that, but I think the $100 version of the game is no longer available. Here you can just see me looking through some of the different races, taking a look at what they look like. But in the end, I ended up going with Night Elf, mainly because I wanted to see a little bit more of Morrowind. Morrowind was, in fact, my favorite game out of the most recent Elder Scrolls games. I never played the first 2, so I just wanted to see more of Morrowind, you know, outside of Ardenfell. After I picked my race, I went with Nightblade because I wanted to play kind of an assassin type character. And here you can see the character customization, which is actually very thorough. In this little triangle thing, you can pick how much muscle you have, how much fat, how thin you are. You can see there what it looks like in the middle. And I went with a half thin, half muscular kind of character. You can do things like change skin color. You have a lot more options than you did in Skyrim. Actually, this entire character customization is really MMO standard, and it's not really dumbed down like it was in Skyrim. Here you can get a more of an idea of what you can do in the character customization. You can really change a lot. You can change hip waist size, arm width, gut, different things like that. So you can see me doing that here. One of the interesting things about the character customization is that you can actually pick your character's voice, which is kind of cool. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a nice addition to the game. Unfortunately, I don't think I ever once heard my character make any kind of sound like it does there. It's not really that they talk, it's more that they make sounds. And here you can see the different hairstyles, which are much better than in Skyrim. These actually have some kind of physics to them. You can see them moving around. And as far as graphics go, it's a pretty good game. It's not. I heard that Bethesda was going to dumb down the game's graphics a bit, kind of go backwards from Skyrim, which I thought was fine. You know, you have to. These computers now have to render more characters. They have to do things like that. Which is understandable, but it's still really good graphics. You know, it's not crappy. And here, see if you can figure out who this is.
There has sacrificed everything that we might go free. Her sacrifice must not be in vain. Wish that were possible, but I promise you, once we escape Cold Harbor, we will find a way to. That is the name I have given you. You are but a trace of your former self, a soulless one. An empty vessel that longs to... That is what I've come to be called. My true name is lost, even to me. The anchors are Daedric machines of the darkest magic. Their chains bind our world and...
Alright, did you figure out who that was? In case you didn't, here, try again.
First, you must activate the anchor. I can sense the dark energy emanating from 2 devices on either side of me. There is no way to know for sure. In fact, it's extremely unlikely we will both...
Did you get it now? Yeah, that's Michael Gambon, the guy who played or portrayed Professor Dumbledore from the Harry Potter movies, which is pretty cool. I mean, I've seen Bethesda get some good actors, like they got Liam Neeson when they did Fallout 3. Apparently, Kate Beckinsale is in this game somewhere. I forgot who she portrays, but yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. They actually really went out of the way to make sure that every character was in fact voiced, whether they be just some guy walking down the street or someone who gives you a quest. Everybody in this game has a voice actor. So you can see me going through the portal there, back out into the new world. Overall, the questing system is pretty good. Actually, here in the video you could see the skill system, which I wanted to show you, which is pretty good. It kind of feels dumbed down from Skyrim. Everything's a little bit more generic, but at the same time you have a bit more freedom to do different things. It's kind of strange, but it's an interesting skill system. You know, you really can be an assassin with heavy armor and axes, or a heavy plate knight with restoration spells. It lets you do that, and it doesn't just restrict you to doing one thing. You can see here you have weapon, world, guild, alliance, racial, and craft skills. And at the very top, you see your class skills. You get every one of those skills except for class. Class always depends on what your class is, obviously. Here you can see the map. This map, it really is enormous. You can see how big it is. I walked from the right end of that map to the left end in 6 hours, doing every quest along the way. It was a lot of playing. And quest, one thing I really like that they did is, you can see here the quest marker is actually moving towards me, right? Some quests, when you actually complete them, the quest giver will go to you. You don't have to go all the way back to them. So if you're maybe real close to leveling, like I just leveled here, you don't have to run all the way back or wait to do more quests or finish other quests in order to get that level. You can just, you'll get lucky, and some of them, they will come to you, which I think is a really cool addition to the questing system. It minimizes some of the traveling. And here you can see some of the combat. The combat system, it does feel like an Elder Scrolls game, but at the same time, it's a bit, I would guess you could say, clunky. One big issue is that you move through enemies very easily. Well, I mean, not just very easily, but you just move through enemies, which sometimes can be a bit difficult when you're a melee user, because, I mean, you can feel when you're moving forward, and in Skyrim you can feel, you move forward into an enemy and you can kind of feel that collision, because you're moving forward and your eyes see that you stop. So even though you're yourself not actually moving, you can feel that you've stopped. And it's very awkward, because enemies, you might sometimes move too far forward, and all of a sudden the enemy's off to your side or behind you. The other thing is, I wanted to go dual blades, but I also wanted to be, dual blades, bow kind of assassin, which is usually what I play in the standalone games. And honestly, bows just don't feel right. They seem to have, when you first pull up an arrow, they seem to have this weird animation that it looks like you're about to shoot, but you don't. Rapid clicking, doesn't do too much damage, but you have to hold your bow back. And something about bows, just, it doesn't feel like you're using a bow. It just feels like you're clicking and hoping for something to fly out. other than that, some of the good things about the combat system is your abilities flow nicely. You can see here, right there is one of my abilities. I'm just using the slash on them as many times as possible. And when Bethesda said there weren't going to be any cooldowns, they really meant it. You can spam any skill as many times as you want, as long as you have the mana for it. Or I mean magicka, not mana. It's different game here. But as long as you have the magicka for it, cast away. You can do it as much as you want. And here you can see I've actually gone invisible or something. I might have been hit and gone out of it. But the combat system has its pros and its cons. It does need to be tweaked a bit. I did hear that in a newer version, not the version we were playing, and I have no idea if this is even remotely true, but I did hear that collisions were added into the game, because that is so much needed to make it feel more like an Elder Scrolls game, or just really any RPG. It just feels too, if you're not auto attacking, so your character doesn't automatically go to where it's going to hit with the enemy. So it makes it very weird sometimes. Even in PvP, you'll do an attack that teleports you to your enemy, and they'll keep moving forward. So all of a sudden you hit them, but split second later they're already behind you, so you have to turn around. And sometimes it's a little bit disorienting having to turn around and have to find them again and then start using your skills. But overall, the combat system is good. It does flow well, at least, but like I said, you have those issues. Unfortunately, I didn't get to show it. Actually, what ended up happening is my computer completely ran out of memory space because I forgot to delete other videos that I had been working on. Yeah, it happens. But I joined a guild. It was a pretty good guild. They were talkative. We did an instance. It was actually one for a quest, and it was more of a dungeon. But you go in there, or we went in there, and we were doing pretty good. We were killing everything. That's the first boss, and the first boss was pretty strong. Well, it wasn't really the first boss, more like the third, but it was pretty strong. And a couple of us died, but we beat him in the end. Then after that, the next part of the dungeon just got really, really hard. It's some of these creatures are just really powerful, and they're difficult to defeat. You really have to strategize. You have to know what you're doing, because I was the stealth guy in here, and I can do those critical hits. I constantly was, if we got to a boss that was a bit difficult, we died a few times to him, I was usually asked to initiate combat, because I have a higher chance of doing crits. So, and then I can stun a few enemies as well. So, you do have that feeling of having to strategize. And there was another quest I was doing. It's actually for the Fighters Guild, where one of the Fighters Guild members is captured. You have to go rescue him. Well, you have to end up finding a big spider in order to rescue him. And the spider is very annoying, because you knock down its health, and if you don't have someone there to provide enough DPS, it's a difficult fight, because all of a sudden they'll cast, or some little orbs will fly to it, and she'll absorb them. And for each one she absorbs, she gains full health. So it's a difficult thing, and at the same time, she does a lot of damage to you. So like I say, you have to strategize. I have an attack which, if it kills an enemy when you use it, it regains my health. So the good thing about these little orbs is that they were one shot. So while attacking this creature, you kind of have to use that skill to kill an orb, regenerates your health, and then she can't regenerate. So it was a fun battle, really, because I had to stay alert. I had to make sure I was paying attention to what was going on, and it was just a 1v1 fight. But it's an NPC giving you this fight, and it was it was one of the better fights I've seen in most games, and it's just a small part of this game. Some of the other things, like the quests, are actually pretty interesting. You've got your typical go kill this, go collect this, but they're not boring. I mean, you don't have to do too many. You know, when I was questing, I really didn't have to do too many of those quests. Maybe I did at most 3 in total. That's including both collect item quests and kill thing quests, stuff like that. And they didn't feel boring at all, actually. Every quest, not that they felt unique, but it didn't feel like I was doing a chore to do them. One thing I will say, what did feel like a chore was trying to get to level 10 so I could do PvP. This playthrough, I really wanted to do a lot of PvP, because aside from me playing EVE Online, which I haven't been doing much lately, I wanted to get into another PvP focused game, and so I was hoping this one would be able to deliver, and that will be for part 2 video that I'll upload another day. But getting to level 10 is actually very difficult, and partly because the game is still buggy. Every once in a while you'll be walking around and the game just freezes, somewhat like it would do in Skyrim, where the game you're just walking around, all of a sudden the game freezes and it crashes. The good thing about this game, though, is you don't really well, the game fixes it for you. You freeze up, but you'll come right back. You know, may give it 30 seconds. You'll still be there. You won't have to restart your game or nothing like that. Of course, that you don't want that to happen at all. That's not something that should be happening. So hopefully it's something that gets fixed. The other problem, and what ultimately kind of turned me away from the game, because it was fun to play until maybe the 3rd day on Sunday, when things were getting a bit annoying. And one thing was, a lot of quests are completely, well, not completely broken, but they're broken. I mean, there's one quest where you have to light these 3 beacons, and you have to change the color of each one to match 3 beacons near them, and they unlock a chest that you have to get an item from. You have to do this 2 times. There's 2 chests, they're opposite of each other. But most people that were trying to do this quest, including me, you couldn't see the other beacons, so you didn't know what to change the colors to. And the problem with this quest is, you know 3 different colors. You have 3 different options, right? They all have to be a different color, but apparently not, because someone that was helping me quest at the time told me theirs was actually like yellow, red, yellow, or something like that. So what that tells you is it could be any possible color combination, which kind of ruins it. And another thing that happened is, we were doing a quest, and we get to the end, we're about to complete it. You can't talk to the guy. There's absolutely no conversation with him, and it's unfortunate because, you know, we were having fun. We were doing this quest, and you can't finish it at all. I don't know, it was kind of annoying, but you know, we just went off to the next quest. But there are some fun quests. I mean, there was one where I guess there's a disgruntled Argonian, or he was a dark elf, I don't quite remember, but he gives you these balls, and you just go out, and there's these guys attacking, and you go out there, you run up to them, and you throw this ball at them, and what it does is it's like a stink ball, and it draws in a net to them, so the net kills them, and it's kind of like it's almost like you're pulling a prank on these guys. And so the quests were interesting, and it's not that they weren't. Questing was fun, and I just realized one thing I forgot to show you, but I'll quick mention it, is that crafting system is actually really cool. It's much better than it was in Skyrim. What you do is Oh, and here in this part of the you can see this is where I got invited to that guild, but you can see a bit of Morrowind here. But anyways, the crafting system, it's interesting. You pick what you want to make, and then you pick what material you want to make it out of. So you say, I want to make a dagger. You scroll over, you pick dagger, you pick iron, and then you have a style. So instead of making the generic iron dagger type of weapon that you would see in Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, you actually make something similar to the daggers in those games. Kind of. I mean, the Dark Elf dagger was kind of wavy. The Redgar was kind of like a scimitar kind of deal. So you get to pick the style, and then the last thing is you get to pick what bonus ability they have. Things from not taking durability damage after you die, things like that. I kind of forgot some of the options. But the cool thing is, and kind of my favorite part is, weapons don't necessarily have a base damage when creating them. You have the option to add more bars to the creation, so that, say I make an iron dagger and I'm level 10. Well, a level 2 iron dagger is not really going to do me any good. But I can add more bars to it, raise the level requirement to 10, and all of a sudden I have a dagger that instead of doing 10 damage, does 25 damage. Which is a really cool thing to add in. And things like that, you can do that with armor. I didn't try alchemy, but there are a few other things. Enchanting's much easier than in other games. You get a glyph and you enchant your gear like that. Overall, the game was actually very fun to play. It wasn't boring at all, and I'm hoping a lot of these bugs are fixed, when the game comes out. I mean, at this moment, as if everything is fixed, it doesn't freeze up, the quests are completed. And one thing about the quests is they felt too far apart a little bit. I hear the other two alliances are actually kind of bad. They're far apart. I didn't necessarily pick this alliance to get closer quests or nothing like that, but this is just what I ended up with. And I just felt that maybe a couple more quests. I liked having to travel from one end of the map to the other, doing quests along. It felt like a good system, but I would have liked a little bit more quests along the way. Other than that, I mean, it was a good game. It was a good test. For you guys who already played it and are watching this video, some of you are saying that WoW is a better game, but this is a beta test. Remember, it's not complete. It's not a finished game. Stop comparing it to other games. And some people say you're not supposed to, don't compare it to Skyrim because this is an MMO, but at the same time, Skyrim is kind of the benchmark. You want a game that plays like Skyrim but is multiplayer. If you want a multiplayer MMO set in this world, well, I mean, you have to kind of put both worlds together. You have to put the single player world and the MMO worlds together. And those of you complaining about the $15 subscription fee, I understand it is expensive for some people. I myself, I pay $20 a month for EVE Online because I don't bother to do all the stuff for that. But the thing about subscription fees is, they help pay to improve the game. If Bethesda makes this game and they only do the initial $60 price, they're not gonna make much more money after that. They're gonna have to put in some kind of a microtransaction system. And if they did that, it would obviously be a free-to-play game, and they could go the greedy route where it's pay to win, or they could go the non-greedy route where you change your character customization things, stuff like that. Different mounts, the way they look, different armors, stuff like that, which is fine. But at the same time, you're taking away, resources from improving the game to trying to make it look more pretty rather than fixing bugs and things like that. But overall, it was a good test. I very much enjoyed the game until a lot of those bugs started kind of getting in the way. But, you know, as long as it's fixed, this is a game I can very much see. I mean, this is if this is fixed, I'm going to be playing this game a lot. And there'll probably be a lot of Elder Scrolls Online videos going up on my channel. Alright, well, this has been ThirstBuster 44 with my impressions on Elder Scrolls Online. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative. And check out my PvP video coming out. Hopefully tomorrow. I'll try to get it out as soon as possible. Depends on how work is and stuff like that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.